Nigeria Info Lagos. Good morning to you. Welcome again to the second part of Dailies today. I'm Sheriff Quadry.
And I'm Jimi. Disu. Good morning.
All right, good to go. You can watch us live on Facebook and on YouTube. Nigeria Info 99.3 is how you can watch on Facebook and on YouTube and drop your comment. We've got the papers here on the table. Let's start with the Punch newspaper this morning. On page 2, we've got the story. Mass failure jam VCs to review UTME results Thursday.
So the educational sector is now in panic mode. And the story here says that both JAMB and the VCs want to review the UTME results. And when you say you want to review, what do you want to do? Do you want to remark the papers? Do you want to lower the grades? These results are a symptom of a very bad situation that we are in the educational sector. If you take away the other reasons, telling candidates to come early, there is still that feeling, that very strong feeling, that the educational sector, as a sector on its own, is in a very big crisis, especially as far as content goes, content and management. So the point says that a notice has been seen in Abuja, which confirmed that the review meeting would bring together vice chancellors, provosts, school principals, examiners, and technical experts to scrutinize the examination process and address the widespread dissatisfaction. This is like walking to an answer that is an illusion. The truth is that the educational sector is in crisis. The National Assembly immediately should constitute a team that would look into the crisis, come out with a report, hand it over to the presidency, and let's have a complete review and overhaul. It's not to satisfy. We don't want something that would quote and unquote satisfy parents and students alike in the interim, because we'll be fooling ourselves. Okay, we'll be fooling ourselves. What we need is a complete, and this is where you would have expected by now the National Assembly would stand up to this problem, and immediately the Senate President, the House of Reps Speaker, go into a meeting with the presidency and come together and say, look, we need a special technical team, 10 people maybe, do us a comprehensive report in 21 days, and let us implement reviews. So it's not a case of vice chancellors lowering the cutoff point and saying, no. I remember the pressure we put ourselves in many years back when a University of Lagos was being set up, and to make the place available for our people. The university at that time was taking students with 2 credits. Then they say you go for remedial. University education is not for everybody. Not everybody is capable of going through the 4 walls of a university. It doesn't mean that they're not brilliant, but it's for academics. There are other areas in which students can excel. I hope that happens, because they say that this sentence here says that this development comes in the wake of mounting protests from candidates. It's not satisfying candidates and parents that is the issue. It's to make sure that we are getting quality. You know, it will take a while. Sacrifices will have to be made. But therein, this government is known for saying that they were going to have reforms. We should have reforms in the educational sector very quickly. Very quickly. So, according to the official notice, the review panel includes the All Nigerian Confederation of Principals of Secondary School, National Association of Proprietors of Private Schools, computer professionals, and so on and so forth. But the registrar of JAMB, Professor Ichak Oloyede, reacting to results, said that the performances statistics for the 2025 UTME are in line with results recorded over the past 12 years. He said this is not peculiar to this year. The performance statistics are consistent with those of the last 12 years. Okay? And the thinking that I'm getting from this is that, okay, since it appears that JAMB has tightened, you don't have special centers and all these things, and JAMB has been able to tighten the process, whereby the true value of students' educations are determined by the examination. I don't know how far that is true, but it makes a bit of sense to me. all said and done, it still shows that we have a crisis that we need to take care of. Some candidates have said that they have rejected their results. I don't know what happens if you reject your result. What does that mean? Insisting they do not reflect their actual performance. A group of candidates numbering over 8,000 reportedly submitted complaints regarding technical glitches experienced during the exam. It's possible.
Yep.
It's possible because it's computerized. It is very, very possible. So what might most likely happen is that very soon you'll have students, parents in groups suing JAMB to court and, asking to see if there could be some form of review. But for me, I believe that it goes beyond that. This is a reflection of the crisis in the educational sector, which some of us had acknowledged long time ago.
Let's go check out the editorial in the Punch newspaper. Yeah. Restoring trust in NEL Fund.
Educational sector, all of you know what had happened. The news that went around in NEL Fund, which of course is particularly dear to my heart. And the Punch starts the editorial by saying that in a country where access to education should be a right, the controversies surrounding NEL Fund are deeply troubling. Yes, I agree. Allegations of fraudulent deductions, incomplete disbursements, and institutional irregularities threaten to derail one of the most critical reforms aimed at democratizing access to higher education in Nigeria. I'd also say that this is one of the low-hanging fruits of the Tinubu government. By the time the government ends its tenure, NEL Fund is going to be one of the major things they will be putting forward. Apart from the aviation, apart from the internal affairs and one or two other things like that. These are the things that Tinubu will be able to say to himself, at least there were some reforms there. So it shouldn't be treated lightly, amongst other reasons. And the point says that at stake is the future of hundreds of thousands of students who rely on these loans to escape poverty through education. They argue that while NEL Fund's MD, Akutide Sawyer, has strenuously denied any wrongdoing, stating that no money is missing. This reminds me of Fela, 2.5 billion that was supposedly lost. Money not lost. Money not lost. But the point argues that the public relations damage has already been done, and I agree with that, unfortunately. The ICPC made an initial claim of 71 billion out of 100 billion. So far, disbursed was unaccounted for. All of you remember that. But they issued a swift retraction. And whoever was responsible in the ICPC by now should have been fired.
I think that's what started this entire thing. That initial statement, wrong statement.
Yes.
How can you say it's not?
You say it's unaccounted for. It don't lost me that.
You remove. It's a mess.
The man should have been fired.
It's a mess.
71 billion out of 100 billion. And let me tell you, I expect that if I was the head of the ICPC, let's even assume I discovered something like this, I'm going to be having a meeting with the Attorney General and Minister for Finance before I make it public to get proper clearance, even with the presidency. But that's why we say that our public officers should learn to put a zip on their mouth in the things that they say. But you can see that this government doesn't place a premium on what their ministers and officials do. Rolls Royce, calling press briefings 2 hours, running riot all over town. President Tinubu needs to do something about that. Look at it, the damage has been done. Okay, and that the Punch argues it shows how fragile the trust in public institutions are. Once confidence is shaken, especially in matters involving public funds, it takes more than press releases to repair the damage. The Punch reports that Sawyer himself admitted that the allegations had damaged public perception of NEL Fund. That is true. I'm in constant discussions with him, so I know, constant, and he's pained.
Yes,
he's really pained. Constant. He's pained because also the poor man has his integrity to and that is why sometimes it becomes difficult for some people to take up public office. a whole ICPC just out of the blue said, if you deduct 71 from
I was pained. I was really pained. So the retraction now, what has that done?
Nobody,
Nothing.
I've seen the retraction for the first time.
Nothing.
And of course, there are glitches due to technical inefficiencies, incomplete data, or system overload. Anyway, the Punch argues that NELFON must realize that it serves a critical mandate. Higher education is fundamental building block to ensure the maintenance and growth of skilled labor. So, the Punch now says, of course, you know the story of the issue where it appeared that the university itself were fiddling with the students' funds. So, should we look at the possibility of crediting students directly? The danger in that is that some of them will take the money and go and play Baba Jebu.
And go and buy bike.
And go and buy bike. And then the purpose
like
would have
some
gone.
people.
I didn't buy a bike when
I did not say you now. Shibi, I did not mention
I
your
did
name
not
now.
buy. I don't like riding bikes. and incidentally, for the record, I didn't even take a student's loan.
Yeah?
Yeah, I didn't take a student's loan. Many did, that the parents never knew about it. But the kind of upbringing I had, what would I tell my parents? 1,000, in those days, 1,200 or so, when to go to London itself was just 199 naira. And that's what a lot of guys did. Yes! That's what go to Stansted from Lagos to Stansted. 199, and the loan was 1,500. That's why a lot of my colleagues had bikes when they were in school.
Wow.
If I remember, a lot of guys, they had bikes they couldn't take home. Some bought cars. 1,500 will get you a 2-year-old B2. Wow. Anyway, so we have to draw some kind of balance. What is most important for me and what I think should be done is Mr. Sawyer should use all the contacts he has in government to bring to book, let him just bring to book 8 universities and get them punished severely to serve as a deterrent. Because that is the major problem we have with corruption in this country. We don't...
No consequences.
Yes, no consequences. So also the points now, can I quickly go through this? They also talk about UTME mass failure. And they say that it signals educational crisis. That's the second editorial. They talk about how JAM has been trying so hard to make the process credible. Maybe that is what has led to the level of failure that we have, because the credibility has now shown up that our students are not that well educated. But they say this is what they say. They say that they say here, this most changing Nigerians youth are to have a place, let alone compete in an increasing digitalized world. In government schools, teachers are more concerned about side hustles than about teaching because they're not well paid and they're not well remunerated. I'm good to go again. I just hope I don't have a case one day in front of a judge in Lagos. Once that happens, I will just walk myself to Kirikiri. But a system that rewards judges, that rewards politicians, doesn't put a premium on health and education is a system that is going nowhere. These politicians will wreck this country with this kind of attitude. We must put a premium on education. We must put a premium on education like we put on defense, on the judiciary. We must put a premium on health. Anyway, that is what we are saddled with for today. I'm talking about health. I think you need to stop prodding me to get too excited.
Let's go take this special report on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. How lives get wasted daily on Nigeria's highways of horror.
Yes, I'm sure you will notice that on this particular program, Sheriff and I, we really don't put so much premium on these days on political stories. Rather, we go to look for stories that affect our lives on a daily basis. Do you know, I didn't know the kind of crisis we have in the road sector until I read this report. This report is is a well-put report put together by Vanguard, and I give them a lot of credit for it. In fact, it made their front page list story. How lives get wasted daily on Nigeria's highways of horror. The papers are online, so if you just type this headline, I'm sure you get to read it. It's on the paper pages 14, 15, and 41. What does it say? Horrible federal roads in Cross River. Federal roads in Cross River are, according to them, is a death trap. Over 150 people burned to death. 100 vehicles wrecked in rivers only.
In Cross River?
No, in rivers.
In rivers.
Horrible federal roads in Cross River. Over 150 people burned to death. 100 vehicles wrecked in rivers. It says that the North highways of frequent disaster and death. That's in the north. Lamentations in the southwest. Federal roads of frequent auto crashes in the southeast. Federal government is doing its best to fix road infrastructure. Umahi. Well, let's be fair. I think Umahi has not been doing too badly, but I hope it's not a case of the low-hanging fruits that everybody can see. When in terms of percentages, you know, people usually say if you want a good perception of your government, just concentrate on Lagos and Abuja and Port Harcourt, and then they look as if everything is. But he hasn't done too badly, to be very honest. I'd like to be very honest with that. Maybe the situation is worse than you and I would want to admit. So I recommend that you read the story. It's how many pages? About 4 or 5 pages. It says that in Niger State, for example, over 100 lives have been lost this year. Adamawa, a state of failed federal roads. Borno and Yobe states, most federal roads are death traps. So try to fish out the Vanguard. And now don't have this attitude that, well, I'm safe in Lagos. I don't go around. It's none of my business. What about your relatives? What about when your son, daughter is going for youth service? What about that son of yours who doesn't tell you what he does, and goes with his friends on a trip? And you feel comfortable at home that, Sheriff is in Unilag, he's in Akoka here. Meanwhile, Sheriff, you don't want to know the kind of trips that I took when I was in school. I remember I had a classmate, I won't mention his name. Then once, because what we had in Unilag then was what they call Almighty June. Once you register in September, there were students who, once they registered, they don't come back to the campus until June to come and write the exam.
Ooh.
And so what he will be doing, he'll be traveling from one campus to the other. Yes, having fun. The parents thought he was in Akoka. We had gone as far as Abu and was by road. Some went to meet. So don't think it's a joke. Yes, I mean it sounds funny, but don't think that it's all of us need to make sure that our roads are safe, because you don't know for whom the bell tolls at any time.
It's one of the problems I have with the Lagos Calabar superhighway that they're building, because I feel that the ones that we have, we struggle to allocate money to fix them, to maintain them. We are struggling.
You need to listen to Tidoka. Is that his name?
Yes, Osita Chidoka.
He made a first-class presentation on the issue. That the funds you want to use to build the Lagos Calabar road, if you maintained what you have, it will be sufficient. So you are building this, but we know the story of Jindu. Don't let's believe for ourselves.
This report now just again reiterate the need to maintain these highways and to put necessary things
was
in
able
place.
with facts and figures, was able to say that if the money you put for the Calabar road, if you put just half of it to maintain the current federal roads, you wouldn't even need any coastal road. But and some of our former senators have said it's the best thing since spilled milk. I'm talking of Ben Bruce and so on and so forth. What hurts me is when I see educated and exposed people deliberately misleading and misinforming the uninformed public for their own personal gains. It hurts me because I don't think any educated person would sanction what is going on the Lagos-Calabar road. Not that the road is bad, no.
No.
But in terms of priority, everybody who has gone to the minimum management school with an OND in management will know that money could have been put to better purposes still on the roads. The roads that you currently use, you have abandoned, and then you want to create a new road. Is that Calabar road going to take me to Maiduguri? Second base, Jerry.
Second base is page 6 of Vanguard. EFCC arrests Fred Ajudua in Abuja.
Man, when I saw this story day before yesterday, that the Supreme Court had ruled that Mr. Fred Ajudua should go back to court for trial after about 30 years. After about 30 years.
30?
Man, that's a lifetime. Now he has to go back again he's not been sentenced at all. It just shows that sometimes these things won't go away. And sometimes it's best to face what it is once and for all. God forbid that you find yourself in this kind of position. Wouldn't it be better if he had been, I'm just playing around, if he had been found guilty, for example, maybe 3-4 years, he would have been able to continue with his life. I'm not saying he's guilty though. But now he now has to stay in prison till his case is heard, and if found guilty, might be facing a possible sentence. I think we need to weigh our options sometimes when we are faced with situations. But most importantly, we need to steer very, very clear of criminal activities. I'm not saying he's guilty. He's going to have his day in court. So the Supreme Court had ruled that he should be in prison, and the case has to go back again to the to the High Court. And the gentleman is about my age. He'll be very, very, very close to 70, and I do feel for him. This case has been on for 30 years. When I looked back, immediately I saw it, I looked back to those days when he was in Surulere. And it was like a lifetime gone back. So this is what you call in life experience, using other people's experience to develop yourself. I hope the younger people are taking note of this. Sometimes you just have to weigh your options very, very well. And I think in such instances, you shouldn't be talking to your lawyer only. I want to imagine how much this gentleman would have paid in legal fees to date. Well, I wish him luck in his new case. I hope he's found not guilty in the end, and he can go home in peace.
Let's stick with the Punch, page 36. U.S. shares Wigwe's helicopter crash report with FG.
Yeah, all of us know the sad thing that happened to Herbert. And it's not made any more pleasant than all the family and friends quarreling all over the social media. I wanted to use this. The story here is not much, but I wanted to use it to appeal to all parties to remember the memory of Herbert Wigwe and what he meant to either of them. To the family, who is son, to his friend, Ike Mokwede. At the end of the day, put Herbert's name and that of his children, put it forward in all this fighting and squabbling in the social media. Herbert was a very, very private person. As popular as he was, I never met him. I spoke to him a few times, but I never met him. Nice, pleasant gentleman. And I just wish that when we do these things, there are some things as an adult that you do and you absorb. Not because it doesn't hurt you, not because it's not your right, but because you think of the other person too. You know, and so I'd like to appeal again one more time to family and friends and so on and so forth. The memory of Herbert, please make it pleasurable for us. Thank you very much.
We have to go now, Lagos. Thank you so much, sir, for coming.
Yes, thank you. When you say thank you, that means you don't want to pay me.
Of course, you get paid.
Did I thank you for being here?
You always thank me at 9 o'clock. Oh.
We're already here.
Lagos, that's our show. Morning to you.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.